Welcome to URC Chumps, episode 86. We're getting this ball rolling. We're getting going, especially since we're coming so close to the end of the regular fixtures before we know who the top eight is. Unfortunately, the other two aren't with us today, but I do have Dara, another fellow top eight player or supporter with me this week. How you doing, Dara?
Good. Results went in our favour. Well, mostly. So yeah, I'm happy as Larry, to be honest. Loving it.
Yes. I mean, that is fantastic. Um, but yes, I mean, I think we need to get into it. We do have quite a bit to discuss, especially since this week there is no URC. It is European um, tournament. And I see Jacques has just slipped in there just as we start. How are you doing by the fire?
I've got no fresh complaints. Just quickly checking in, check if everything is all right with you guys.
Yeah, it's all good. And now, yeah. So while
He was
you
good
are
in the top eight,
arriving,
Sean. He was good in the top eight, to be honest, right?
yeah, that's how hot it is at the bottom because that's all you guys are staying below. Bottom eight. Uh,
Touche, touche. All
yes,
right.
but
Goodbye again.
Hi, Jack.
talking about that, starting off this weekend with Cardiff hosting Ospreys with a 24-21 win over them. It just seemed a bit back and forth, but obviously Cardiff going over the line there to take the win. Ospreys do go away with 1 point, but obviously that's not what they would really want. A game
Yeah,
that
that's
started
that's
off,
the end. That's
yeah,
the end of Osprey's season. They're not going to make top eight now. But Cam Jones did a Reece Carey. He ran through the middle of the pitch and beat four defenders on the way to assisting a try instead of scoring it himself. But there's the front row moment of the week for
yeah,
any of you that well, I suppose this is mostly South African subscriber channel, so that's probably a segment we probably should do. But front row moment of the week, Cam Jones, Ospreys, runs past four Cardiff players, sets up a
not.
try.
It's not
Uh,
the only one of the week because we stuck. It wasn't as far, but Tunu with his two tries this week. Um,
yeah, it's true, but I mean, those are the most typical front row tries you'll ever see. Whereas this one was actually a bit of athleticism. But yeah, I think Cardiff deserved to win this game. Nearly threw it at the end. But for a knock on that actually should have been a penalty to the Ospreys because the ball was played by a guy off his feet. But you know, vibes will be vibes.
seems
Yeah,
a lot of that going around this season. I mean, Stormers got that against Toulon, and but yeah, then the game that Jacques is obviously hidden away for because um, Sharks versus Edinburgh, the game the Sharks had to win to keep their hopes alive, and it
yeah.
completely slipped away.
And if they'd won it, they actually the results went their way. So if they had won it, they'd actually be within a shout. They were terrible, absolutely terrible.
I don't know about
The Sharks
absolutely. The
played.
first half was kind of even, but the second
Yeah,
half was
but
just where it slipped away.
yeah, but Curbs, this is, with all due respect, this is the worst Edinburgh performing season I've ever seen. They've
Yes.
been very bad most of the season. So, like, the Sharks' defense, it's just they get cut open so easily from deep. Graham had a field day, a couple of the Edinburgh backs had a field day, just cutting the Sharks open for deep runs. And yeah, the Sharks came back. Shizuka scored a nice try at the end, but you know, it's not good enough. The season's not been good enough. The money that's in the Sharks in comparison to the Lions, who we'll talk about in a minute, and the difference in points is nearly 20 between them, is shocking. Absolutely
But I
shocking
mean,
for the Sharks.
looking at the Edinburgh and the Sharks, I mean, it's pretty similar results. Just the Sharks are the one draw, whereas Edinburgh's got 10 losses instead of nine. Okay, cool. Sharks less on points difference, but 3
But yeah,
points
I'd
difference
imagine the
between.
Sharks will probably win their last two games and kind of inflate themselves. But in
Yeah.
general, it's been a fairly awful season and knocked out the Challenge Cup as well. So it's been a complete write-off of the season, really.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, it's caused an end. What's going to happen in the next two games, we don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. Of course, their last two games are at home, which benefits them in a sense, but obviously it's not how you wanted the season to end. Then, of course, moving on to Zebra Palmer versus Dragons, a repeat of the Challenge Cup quarterfinals. Uh, Dragons coming out on top, and I had a sneaky suspicion, even though they won. Is this was that the strongest Dragons team that they played, or are they hiding players, knowing that they have a
No,
semi-final
no,
this weekend?
no, I didn't watch it, but I saw the team sheet, and no, there was quite a few players out. It's the first time the Dragons have won away in the URC since January 2022, which is must be depressing. Because I follow a guy on Instagram and he goes to all the Munster away matches. If you've gone to all the Dragons away matches for 4 years and they've lost every single one of them, um, you'd give up on rugby and start watching hockey or lacrosse or something like that. But
Golf.
they finally won one, and it's their first win outside of Wales since 2020, since before COVID. So that's even more bleak and depressing.
No,
But
but I
yeah,
mean,
fair play.
when I saw it, I'm like, it seems like they're holding back players. I think right now Dragons look like they just with URC, knowing that they have a chance in the Challenge Cup if they can perform. Then now that is the key. They have to perform because they got the semi-finals, which we'll discuss a little bit later on. But yeah, then of course the game that South African fans are a bit disappointed in the time frame of the game, considering that the Stormers are one of the most, on average, supported teams in the stadium than any other team in South Africa. And I think they said, including um, overall URC attendance, is a higher average. They said they should have put this game later and rather played another game earlier. But anyway, besides that point, coming up 48-12, what a game for number one. A debut for Marcus Muller, being the youngest Stormers player at 18 years and 9 months, beating Damian Willemse by 1 month, and Sasha Feinberg Mgunzulu coming on for his 50th cap. Yeah, they definitely lit a fire in the camp this week, and they completely and utterly turned around from what happened last week to this week, beating at that stage the number one team in the on the log with a bonus point. Yes, I'll bring up some stuff that Franco Smith said later on, but beating the team, ending a disappointing tour for Glasgow, and of course putting Stormers at the top again, which we haven't been since like round 10 or so. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'll take you up on your first point. A lot of Munster fans complain because we usually get put on the late slot. We usually get a 7:45 home slot for some reason, TV companies up. And yeah, I mean, Lions, all due respect, have very few fans. I mean, they should be on 12 o'clock if they're at home. A couple of the smaller grounds as well, your Edinburghs, your Zebras, they're at home. Put them on those slots, and yeah, you're like Stormers had the highest attendance in the URC or the Gallagher Premiership this weekend. I think there was 23,000 counted or 24,000 in
yeah,
Cape Town. We were second. We had 17,500 because our time slot kind of suited people. But that's a whole other issue. In terms of the game, Stormers by far better up front, better at the back. As you said, looked like a fire lit under the belly. They dropped a few boys. They brought in a few lads who looked hungry, looked sharp. Really went after Glasgow. Glasgow have been terrible on this tour. They got two tonkings and have dropped off top
But what also
Um,
surprised me on that is we actually played a stronger team than the Lions played last week because they brought on I think they Sustain had just come back, Jones had just come back, and of course they had Tuipulotu. They had a lot of their first choice forwards as well, and yeah,
yeah, they were just terrible. They were just, but
yeah,
they were just terrible. They've just been terrible in both games in South Africa. Um, Deservedly lost both. Deservedly got nothing out of both. Worrying for Glasgow, worrying for Smith. I don't think they've got two beatings up like that under Smith, never mind back to back. So real concern. They've dropped off top. They don't have the kindest of run-ins, but we'll see. But a bit of crisis at Glasgow maybe.
yeah. No, and then one point that I was hoping Tim would be here today is something that him and myself have spoken about is Van Zyl's record as a coach at the Lions hasn't been that pretty, and this past season is actually he's done a great job. I mean, out of 16, 10 wins, one draw, five losses, beating a team that beat the Stormers at home, which is
Yeah.
not an easy feat. Even Frankie Horn said that. He was like, a team that came from beating the Stormers at home, which is not an easy feat to beat them at home, had done so. 33-21, great running from the Lions. They look like they wanted it more. I don't know if it was just the altitude that just made Connacht look sluggish in a way, but yeah. Lions coming home with a
With
bonus point win.
with that game, I will say first of all for the Lions, I only saw this yesterday. They have maybe had I've never seen a team get seven home games in a row in the league, which is fine, I suppose, but that genuinely needs to be looked at because that's ridiculous. Whatever about traveling, they should have at least had a away South African derby in that span of seven games. They've won six of them, and fair enough. Like you've got to play nine home games, but yeah, that should be more evenly balanced, first of
Yeah,
all. And second of all, yeah, Connacht clearly, I think Connacht went in with the team. They went in a bit weaker. They had a very stacked bench. So they either went, oh, we'll be in it after 60 and we bring these guys on, can win it, or get the four try bonus. They got neither. They were really, I don't even think they did that much wrong, but the Lions were sharp in attack and they were 21-0 up at halftime without Connacht doing much wrong. And
mm.
yeah, again, their defense is really, I think that's been their marquee improvement. Their attack has been good since they joined the URC, but their defense was terrible for the most part. They'd have these big mad 30-40 games, um, score lines, and they'd lose. So I think they've
But
really done well. There's a lot less of that nonsense. They're still scoring the points, but their defense has really shifted
but
less
but yet
than
again,
most seasons.
they literally did the last 20 minutes. Those 21 points were mainly scored in the last 20 minutes of the game. Uh, I mean, it allowed the Lions to coast, which they need to be careful of, but allowed them to coast a bit into the final 20 minutes. But yeah,
As I
unfortunately,
said, though, Connacht went with a really strong bench, so that was a real marquee,
yeah,
was to target the last 20-25 minutes, and yeah, they got three out of
yeah.
it. But yeah, the
Then
Lions, they're in the top eight. They're going to finish in the top eight. That was always going to be the goal before coming up to Ireland, and now it's just to see if they can go back to Joburg with a home quarter.
yeah. Well, let's just see. I think they've also now got two away games now coming up. But
Yeah,
yeah, I think one of them's against you.
one's against us, one's against Leinster, so that's really difficult. But if they win one, they're going to finish in the top four and get a home playoff. So
Let's hope they beat Leinster.
not us anyway.
But we'll talk about that a little bit later. But the game that was quite phenomenal, especially watching it, Munster absolutely eating Ulster. That game. I was actually
Yeah,
looking. I think I
yeah.
got to a point that I knew points were coming that I was actually trying to look for you in the crowd.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I haven't been to a Munster match in 2 months because we haven't been at home. We haven't even played a game in Ireland in 2 months. It feels like when you get shot and you need morphine. I was itching all week to go to this game, and I can't remember the last time, take out summer. I can't remember the last time in a mid-season that I've gone with it 2 months without going to a Munster match. But man, was it worth it? Yes, Ulster put out a weak inside. They've clearly targeted the Challenge Cup. They had a whole host of injuries. I don't care at all because there's been times when Munster have had 20 plus injuries and nobody felt sorry for us. So I'm not going to feel sorry for anyone. First half was poor. Ulster, we held them up twice. We let them in the corner. Forward pass beforehand, but we'll say nothing. Ty Byrne got on the wrong side of Sam Grove White. I'm sure you saw the clip on social media. It's been doing the rounds of him screaming it was wrong. Byrne shouldn't do that, but his point was right. But whatever. Went in front because John Hodnett is amazing. We're going to build a statue of that man. 4 tries, only the third Munster player to do that in a URC game, or all the previous successors. Made the whole stand laugh when I stood up and shouted John Hodnett for president, which I stand by. What a legend. Ken Dillon came on, scored a hat trick, turned into Superman for his third try, jumping over Humphreys.
Two hat tricks.
Then we had a try. Yeah, two hat tricks, two back rows scoring. And as a member of the back row union myself, I was delighted because when have you ever seen 7 tries be scored and not one of them not be a winger who had to run a grand total of 2 steps to score a try in the corner? So I think all forwards will marvel in that fact that no winger got an easy try on Saturday. But
But I
yeah,
mean,
overall, lots of positive. Attack looked
w-
sharp.
I will be honest. There was one concern I had. One, Klein went off injured. I think he had one or two other players that went off injured in the first
Lyon
half.
went off, and the Jaeger went off in another HI. That guy might actually have to retire. He's had a ridiculous amount of HIA concussions.
Yeah,
Calvin Nash went off. He was on crutches, so he's probably out for the season. And Tom Farrell went off, and he's definitely out for the season because he looked like he fractured his shoulder or something along those lines. But we do have the depth in Kelly, and we have a lot of wingers lingering around. So I think we'll take more of the positives than the negatives. Ulster
yeah.
also got 3 injuries. But yeah, overall, I was really happy. I was just saying the Benetton game was our biggest win in over 2 years. We've had our two biggest wins in the last 2 years come in back-to-back weeks. They're like London buses. You wait for one and two come at once. Um, Back-to-back nearly 30-point wins, good for the points difference. Puts
Mm.
us in charge of our own destiny now, in terms of finishing top 8. We'll obviously get onto that later. But yeah, really happy.
Yeah.
Big win
Talking about
into pros
top
and every.
eight, a team that, thanks to Ulster, has snuck up to seventh, being the Bulls with a bit of a disappointing game and coming off just on top, 21-23 victors. I think Pollard
Yeah,
played a fantastic game, but you can't rely on one player.
yeah. The Spurs were fairly fortunate. Now they had a try ruled out. That I don't know why it was ruled out. But in general, the Bulls were very poor. The Scarlets fronted up unbelievably up front, and I think they deserve credit for that. They're better than their league position. I have no doubt about that. The Scarlets are a better team than 15th. They're not the 15th best team in the league. They're a much better team than that. And
Yeah,
as I said, they fronted up really well against the Bulls, and that's very difficult to do because the Bulls have this power and made a full team out. It's very hard to stop. But I think the Bulls showed their mentality. In fairness, that try was chalked off for very little. They got back up, won a penalty, and kicked it,
got
won the game. maybe a bit fortunate, as I said. Pollard was unbelievable, as you said. Um, I don't think any of their backs particularly shone outside of him. Then the Bulls did get fortunate with a penalty try incident where I don't know who the number 18 was on the day. His name has gone out of my head, but he tackled Joe Roberts when Joe Roberts was about to score. It was a given offside penalty and a yellow, but the ref didn't give it as a penalty try. I don't know why, and the Scarlets missed that conversion.
Yeah.
So maybe a bit of a talking point there, because obviously penalty try is automatic 7. But you would say the Bulls probably deserve to win it, but will be disappointed. Munster get 10 points, and Leinster win their 2 games, which they probably will, in fairness. Their last 2 games aren't difficult, and both
Yeah.
at home. The Bulls will miss out in the top 4, and if they miss out in the top 4, they'll have to look at that game and go, that was a real opportunity to get 4 tries.
We'll look at the as it stands later on to see who's playing who in episodes in the future before we get to the quarters. But yeah, and then of course a game that was very surprising, allowing Lions to jump over due to points difference, but Benetton beating Leinster with a final kick by Jacob Umaga. When I saw that penalty and I saw Jacob lighting up, I'm like, it's over. And before the ball even crossed the poles, you even heard Benetton celebrating like they have won the World Cup.
Yeah, Saturday was a great day. Tolman was rocking Munster bonus point win, and then Leinster get Italian jobs. Treviso's first win against Leinster since 2010, which is the very first season they were in the old Pro 12. Yeah, I mean, Leinster put out a fairly close to full strength team, you would say, bar their second row. You would say, having Porter, Furlong, Sheehan, Doris, Conan, Van der Fleer, Gibson Park, Harry Byrne,
But is there a
Ioane,
reason for that?
Osborne, Keelan. Well, yeah, because they've the Heineken Cup, they want to clearly get some continuity, but that makes it funnier. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. That just makes it funnier that they lost.
But are we going to see a Leinster of past? Leinster looks fantastic to a point, and then they slip in both URC, Pro 12, Pro whatever it was in the past,
and Europe.
And Europe.
Yeah,
because I mean, yeah.
They were beaten up front, quite simply. And yes, they scored some nice tries, but their defence was cut open with ease, really, by Benetton. Their maul defence was all over the place. Benetton scored 2 of those. And as you said, once Osborne gave away that penalty and it was Jacob Umaya, I mean, you just knew that was game, set, and match. Benetton have about 3 unbelievable place kickers because Rhino Smith, who's injured, can knock them over from another 10 meters further back than Umanga can.
Cheetah's boy.
And Alessandro Garbisi has been known to take kicks as well. So, I mean, they just have a factory of these guys who can take long range kicks. Benetton, there's very few teams worse than Benetton to give a penalty away to in their half. And as you said, it was hilarious. The second it hit Umanga's boot, the crowd stood up and started celebrating. They didn't wait for it to go over the posts. You see the behind the posts. There's a new stand there, and they were all celebrating about 2 seconds before the ball went near the posts.
Yeah.
The ball hadn't even gone past. The ball hadn't even gone past the 10-meter line. It seemed in the Leinster half. They were all jumping, celebrating, which is great. But yeah, I mean, Treviso have been so up and down. I mean, you saw last week. We went over and bullied them. But
yeah,
it's nice to see them win a game like that. It's the final checklist. They had, as I said, they haven't beaten Leinster since 2010. But yeah, they deserve to win the game, and their fans must be great crack. Because I know a guy who went over last week and said he had great fun with them, and yeah, apparently they don't even need to wait for the ball to go over the posts. I don't
they know.
this. with the conversion rate at Munster, I wait till about 5 minutes after the linesmen have put up their flags to start celebrating. So they're
I think
lucky.
it's the same with the Stormers. No, talking about that, I'm actually been quite surprised. Sasha knows where the middle of the poles are because he's been a bit all over the place. He's been hitting them dead on lately. But yeah,
We
but
missed
talking
four
about
out of
that,
seven conversions on Saturday. So,
yeah.
oh god.
But talking about that, I'm just going to go through the top eight right now. As it stands right now, Stormers are sitting at first with 56, 1 point above Glasgow Warriors, who's got 55. Lions slipping in at third, getting themselves a home quarters if they can stay there with 53. Above Leinster, 53. Munster, of course, 51. Can still jump up in the next two games. So that whole situation isn't quite where it is. Stormers can still slip down or they can stay up. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Cardiff slipping in at sixth, and their last game is up against the Stormers. Bulls sitting seventh, and Ulster, who are hosting the Stormers the week after the semi-finals, is eighth, and I think that's pretty much it. However, Ulster is not set. Connacht can still slip in. I do not see the Sharks
Yeah.
slipping in. That is a bit impossible, unless
Yeah, it is. No, it is impossible because there's only 2 games left.
unless Bulls,
They're 11
Ulster,
down.
and Connacht lose both their games, and the Sharks win their next two games with bonus
No,
points.
the Sharks can't because they're 11 points behind Ulster with 2 games to go.
Yeah, but that's why I said unless they win with bonus points.
Yeah, but they can only get 10. So
10. No, yeah. So yeah,
it's
pretty much.
between one of Munster, Cardiff, Bulls, Ulster, or Connacht's going to miss out.
Yeah,
At the top end. I think the top four are fine now. I can't see any of them dropping out.
yeah.
I think it'd be Cardiff personally because they have to go. They have to play number 1 and 2. They have to play They play Stormers at home and Glasgow. I think they'll lose both those. I think Connacht will win at least one, if not both, of their games and go above them.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, the only way Sharks, that's right, I read, the only way Sharks can go is if the URC decides to penalize one of the teams above them for some sort of mishap. But yeah, that's the only way they can come in. They had to win, of course. That just leaves Connacht the only team able to get in. But yeah. But this week we have the semi-finals for the Champions and the Challenge Cup. Starting off with the Champions Cup, we got Bordeaux hosting Bath, which should be a cracker of a game. The fact that those two teams have been doing pretty well in their respective leagues. Bordeaux top 14 and Bath in the Gallagher Premiership. So yes, I'm actually quite interested to see how that goes on. However, I do have to say I am going to go with Bordeaux winning, just because they are the home team.
Yeah. Both teams lost this weekend, although both had heavily rotated sides. Bath's second team nearly won in Northampton, which would have been a miracle. But I'm inclined to agree with you. I think this will be a barnstormer of a game. I mean, both sides play very free, open rugby. Nobody does it better than Bordeaux. We saw that in Pretoria in the group stages. But in Bordeaux, in a 43,000 capacity stadium where they're nut jobs. They are nut job fans. They're crazy. So I think Bordeaux will win this one by 5 to 7 points.
Yeah. And then, of course, the next game after that in the Champions Cup is Leinster hosting Toulon. I think Toulon's trip is going to come to an end because we saw this week that Leinster did not play a lot of their top players because obviously resting for this game. I do have to say I do believe Leinster will take this one. Toulon, especially with the fact that how they played against the Stormers, they were lucky against the next game afterwards.
I don't want to sound condescending here, but this is literally a battle for runner-up. Neither of these sides are as good as the two sides on the other semi. Leinster did actually play a lot of their top players this weekend. As I said, Sheehan, Furlong, Doris Conan, Van der Fleer, Gibson Park, Harry Byrne, Jamie Osborne, Gary Ringrose, Hugo Keenan. So they played a lot. They're missing Porter and Furlong for this game. They're missing Ryan Baird, missing James Lowe. I think he's back but not fully fit. I think they might fall over the line, but their scrum could get murdered. And I think if they get murdered at the scrum, they'll lose this game. Because if they're missing Porter and Furlong, they're missing McCarthy, they're missing Jack Boyle, they're gone down to the bare bones then at loosehead. A tight head Clarkson is a good player, but is he good enough to stand up? He'll be coming up against Gross, who's a seasoned French international. That will be where the game is won and lost. If Leinster can even hold the scrum, I think they'll win this game. If they get blown out of it, they'll lose. And that Toulon they do have a strong scrum. I think Leinster will nick it, but as I said, that scrum battle will be the winning and losing of that game.
Yeah. Then, of course, going over to the other tournament being the Challenge Cup, Montpellier going up against Dragons. Like I said, Dragons is probably putting all their money in this. Is it going to be enough this week, especially going up against Montpellier, who we know has a very rich history of rugby? I don't see Dragons getting over this. If they do, it's going to be quite a shocking win. But I'm going to have to go with Montpellier winning.
Yeah, I've only watched Montpellier once this season. It was the quarters against Connacht. I think they're just too big for the Dragons. I think their pack's too powerful. They'll run through to the Dragons all day in Montpellier as well. I can't see this being anything but a Montpellier victory, to be honest.
And then Ulster going up against Exeter Chiefs. We know the likes of Connacht and Trocky weren't playing for Ulster this week, and some other players. But I do think Ulster could take it, especially playing on their pitch and away from Exeter. But it's very similar conditions, being in the very similar area in the hemisphere. But I have to say, I think Ulster are going to take it this week.
This is difficult. Ulster have a lot of injuries, but they welcome back Tom O'Toole, Nick Timoney from injury, and possibly Bryn Ward. And as you said, they rested Augustus, they rested McCluskey, they rested Doak, Murphy, Zach Ward, Ian Henderson against Munster. I think this is their be all or end all. This is their season here. I think they might slip out of the top 8 because they've left themselves a lot of work to do. I think they'll narrowly win this one. I'm going to go Ulster by 2, but this will be a cracker of a game. That's very 50-50.
Yeah. However, depending on how they take this game, if it's going to be a very physical game, I think they're going to struggle against the Stormers the week after. If it is a very free-flowing and running game, not so much tackles and not so physical, I think the Stormers are going to have a problem the week after. So
also, Exeter down a man. Ethan Roots was sent off yesterday against Gloucester for punching Jack Clement. So he'll be out of this game. He's a massive loss. He's a big ball carrier, which, as you said, if this game is tight and physical, yes, it'll help the Stormers, but that might hinder Exeter now with Roots out because he's nearly their best carrier.
Yeah. Is Donald Mont still playing for them? Because I know he was a great carrier for the Stormers as well, very physical player as well. But yeah, I don't know if he's still playing. I haven't actually been playing it.
I haven't heard him in a while. If he is, he's injured anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, that leads us on to the news coming this week. As you can see, even Franco Smith said we are disappointed with the rates or the rate that they played in the South Africa reflection from. He said he did not mince his words in his assessment of Glasgow Warriors 1242 defeat to the Stormers in Cape Town. He also said the depth is also a problem, which could be coming. Bulls ugly win in Wales, a timely reminder for SA teams, which is true because we cannot be coasting along. Look at the Bulls in this third season, how they thought they were going to win and they're coasting along until Glasgow came to mess up everything. And also in the second season, when you guys came down to Cape Town and stole it from us. So yeah. Bulls, it would have been a big talking point since the Bulls asked for a bit of clarity over the TMO call, even though they have one, which I do kind of respect and worry that it might cause problems in the future. But yeah. And then, of course, Stormers drew a line in the sand amid online criticism, and they got criticized big time after the Connacht game. I know we said some stuff last week, obviously not as harsh, trying to be a bit more neutral with some of our determined things. But
Oh yeah,
yeah,
I saw on TikTok some videos that went not in not too nice terms about the Stormers last week. And yeah, I think Smith has every right to be disappointed about Glasgow. If you had told Glasgow before the tour that the Stormers will lose to Connacht and Leinster will lose to Benetton while you're down there, they would have expected to be top by the end of it because they would have just had to have won 2 match points. The fact they won none has to be extremely disappointing, as I said, with other results falling in their favour. So that I'm
mm,
sure they'll be extremely disappointed. And I think you're right about the South African teams. I think the Bulls looked too casual in Connacht on Saturday as well. They had that kind of air about them up until, especially in the first half, they had the kind of air of the dash, or this is the Scarlets, they're 15th, we'll beat them. And then the second half, they kind of woke up and did enough. But I think it can be beneficial as well because their only game post Six Nations that has been any bit close before this one was the Munster game. So I think there's no harm as well in the Bulls having a tight game because there's no point of blowing into the playoffs having won 6, 7, 8 games in a row by 30 points and then losing because you don't know how to win tight games. So
yeah,
I don't think that's too much of a hindrance for the Bulls either.
yeah. Then, of course, Sables snap up Cape Town talent. Six old boys will start from Zimbabwe. Well, they played this weekend. I didn't actually see the results. Liam
Yeah,
Larkham and
they beat Zambia. All right.
yeah,
33-20, I think.
but was Dave Aviers in that team?
I'm not sure. I just follow their Instagram, so I just saw the results. I didn't
I
dig
saw
deep
something
into it.
about Aviers playing for Zimbabwe because he hasn't played for England long enough, and yeah, um, but yeah. And then, of course, Sasha reaches half century with a fantastic performance. I will be honest, he kicked beautifully. Everything looked great. It was what we expected from him. Marcus Miller making some big tackles, didn't really get any chance to run with the ball, but I mean, in that time frame that he came on, there wasn't much to be done. Um, was great to see him. The cheer that he got when he walked onto the field was great to see. And
Yeah.
like I said, he's officially the youngest player to play for the Stormers. And then, of course, the Bulls had welcomed back a trio of Strike Force stars, but it didn't look like a Strike Force team. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, it was a bit disappointing to see the how they played up, but yeah. Um, like we say, guys, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Let us know your views on everything below. What did you think of the Stormers? What do you think of the Bulls, even though they had the strike force? What do you think of what's happening now in European tournaments? How do you think it's going to affect with the teams that are still in, like your Ulster, your Dragons, and Leinster? How is it going to affect them in the top eight or the final section? Knowing that two of those teams are in the top eight as it stands. And there's not really easy games for Ulster coming up.
No, the Leinster have to play the Lions at home, which is not an easy game either.
Yeah, and I mean, right now the Lions, the way they're going is that they look like they're red hot like their jerseys right now. So is the way not going to work in their favor? We're going to have to wait and see because yeah. It is going to be a cracker of a weekend. It's going to be a cracker going into the final 2 games after that. We'll definitely let you know the situation as it stands with the teams. I know there is I'm trying to see now, but I do have what I think I got the top 8 predictions. Yeah, here we go. Let me just check if I can open this quickly. This was what I saw recently. I'll put that up here now. But yeah, this is the top 8. I mean, even though it says there's a chance for some of the teams, we can just look at the top 8 of top 9 really staying in. So yeah, like we said, Stormers 99% chance of where they're going to be, 98, 96, 96, 94, 90. Those are the teams that are pretty much set, and the only 3 are these ones here being Bulls, what do you call it? Ulster. As you can see, locked in, strong contenders in the fights, outside chance. I mean, they should be orange, but yeah. The only ones we can really look at is
I mean, the Stormers and Glasgow are both locked in now. Confirmed they can't be shifted out of the top 8. Leinster and the Lions are going to finish in the top 8 as well. They both need 1 match point from 2 games, and they play each other, so one of them will have that guaranteed. And I'm sure even it would take, even if one of them got nothing, it would take a ridiculous set of results to knock them out of the top 8. So they're going to finish in the top 8.
Yeah.
Between 5 down, I think Munster will have enough, because we need to get, if we deny Connacht a bonus points win in Galway, which is our next game, we need to get 2 points from 2 games. So if we get a losing bonus points in Galway and stop them getting, or get 2 points and they get 5, we just need to get 1 more against the Lions. Just score 4 tries against the Lions, we're in the playoffs, regardless of what happens.
Oh, you just need to win 1 game.
Yeah, or just win 1 game. So I think we will get in there. I think we'll be fine. Cardiff, I think Cardiff and Ulster be most concerned about. The Bulls are going to get in there. They've Benetton and Zebra. They'll beat the 2 of them in Loftus. It's between Connacht, Cardiff, and the Ulster for me.
I mean, Cardiff maybe is a little bit in danger.
Yeah, because they have Stormers at home, Glasgow away. Ulster have the 2 of them at home. Connacht have Munster at home, Edinburgh away. I think Connacht's games are more winnable because they're not playing 1 and 2 in the league. But I think Benetton showed how dangerous a team with nothing to play for can be at home on their final home game of the season as well. That's another element. You know, people are more up for a game when it's your final home game of the season.
Yeah.
So, but I think Connacht will get in there. I know I said Cardiff earlier, but I was thinking about Ulster's games. I think it'll be one of those 2 will drop out. I'm not sure who yet, but I think one of Cardiff or Ulster will drop out. I think Connacht will get in there.
Yeah, I mean, the Bulls also just need to be very careful, even though they've got home games coming up. They can't get too complacent. They have to, they're not going to get a home quarters unless there's some big changes in the top 6.
Well, if they get 10 in Munster and the Lions kind of fail to capitalise, I think they can, yeah. I think if Munster get 9 points from 2 games, we finish above the Bulls and the Lions. Or if the but as you said, if the Lions were to win one of their games, they'll finish out the Bulls. So the Bulls need a bit of luck.
Yeah, that's what I said. Some big changes in the top 6. So yeah. But anyway, fellow champions, I just want to say thank you to my fellow host here, Dara. Remember, guys, be safe. Fellow champions, cheers. Bye.